So, good morning and welcome back to the class on smart materials and structures. So, today we are supposed to start up with our last module, which basically deals with devices. So, until now, you have learned about various class of smart materials and various type of smart structures, how one can build. And later we focus the concept of smart materials and structures with respect to our vibration absorbers also, right? And there we connected the connectivity for the optical fibers, how it can help in reducing the vibrations as an application of vibration absorbers as well. Later, all the concepts what we studied, then we tried to figure out into a smaller scale, which is nothing into the micro electromechanical system devices. So all the actuators, your transducers, your load cell, your sensors, whatever could be due to these smart materials could be figured out into the micro level. So that we learned in our MEMS, right? So this was all the concept of how to design, select the material, and finally to do the packaging part also we dealt about. But finally, when it comes into the devices, so all the concepts what you have studied right from module 1 to module 4 will figure out into an product. So that is nothing but our devices. So in this module, we will be speaking about the devices which could be made by using our smart materials. So you have studied these devices can be done. These are the synthesis method. So how you try to develop these devices, all those things you have studied. But various type of devices which come across due to these smart materials, so that you should be aware enough. So that you will be learning in our module devices. Okay. So with that, a brief introduction. So let me move on to our last module, devices, right? So as per your syllabus, module 5 is termed to be as devices, which mainly speaks about various sensor devices, actuators. So you have heard about sensors, actuators, right? So various type of sensors are there, actuators are there, which are made up of which are made up of smart materials, right? So all these things you are supposed to study, and you have studied already the semiconductors right from your 11th, 12th, and even in 10th standard. So how to enhance the conductivity in the semiconductors, so that part you should learn about. And the crystal plane orientation, with respect to the orientation of the crystal plane, the properties will vary, so that you have to understand. Stress strain relations, you are already aware enough. The same concept has been embedded here again. And just you have a like simple bending analysis for simple loading condition. Okay, so that you have to study. And MEMS, you have studied already MEMS. Here they have a part of concept of MEMS in module 5, which deals with only related to polymers, how polymers will play a vital role in making MEMS device. So that you have to understand. And finally, related to MEMS application, even in previous module, I have told about optical applications as well. The same part, a little bit has been thrown over here, right? So only a little part of new concept what you have to study in module 5 is related to different type of sensors and actuators. Semiconductors, you are aware enough. Crystal planes, you have already studied in your basic physics when you go into your first year of engineering, how the crystal plane orientation plays a vital role. Stress strain is everything is known to you, right? So today we will be speaking up about our devices, sensors and actuators, right? So sensors and actuators, these two are different devices, but these usually club into a common product, where you usually claim that as a smart structure, or it could be for any other computer applications, yeah, for automobile application, vice versa, right? So wherever you have a computer process interface, so when an interface comes into picture where you need to collect the data and transmit the signals to go for the further process, this computer process interface plays an vital role. So wherever you have computer process interface, so these type of devices usually come into picture. So which are input devices, output devices. Along with that, you have you should have something in hand to sense what's been happening, and you should have some device which will execute the work which has to be done. So there comes the need of sensors and actuators along with other devices. It could be an input and an output device also, right? So this is the main need of using sensors and actuators in together. So this you should understand. Where you need to collect the data and transmit the signals, you need a sensor and actuator basically. So this usually comes into picture wherein you want to have an process interface with the help of a computer. So nowadays, every process has been interfaced, yeah, embedded by means of computers, right? So wherever you have this trend of computer interface, you can easily put into the applications of sensors and actuators to these interfaces. Right, so that thing you have to understand. So if you go for a computer process interface, basically you'll be having a sensor and an actuator. So you'll be having a controller which is done by a computer unit, right? So the sensor will transmit the sensed signal in the form of input device. So based on the received input device, it will regulate the instructions which has to be done. Okay, so based on the instruction given, the actuator performs the work and it helps to transmit the data or process which has to be transformed. So this is a basic work which happens when you have a sensor and an actuator device together in any product. Okay, so here I'm just taking an example of a computer process interface. So with that prerequisite, you should know what you mean by a sensor. Everyone know what you mean by a sensor. We have studied various lot of type of materials, how to synthesis, what are its properties, applications, everything. So now we'll be just focusing with respect to a device. Okay, so a sensor basically you can call that also as a transducer. So what does a transducer does? It converts the physical stimuli with respect to the external environment and yields the output which has been need and which has to be measured, right? So the stimulus could be anything. It could be a mechanical stimuli, it could be an electrical stimuli, a thermal stimuli, radiation stimuli, magnetic stimuli, a chemical stimuli. So it responds to the stimuli which has been subjected into. So based on the stimuli it is giving, it will stimulate and sense and yield the result, right? So these are the various stimuli for which an sensor can respond. Since it can respond, it is termed to be as a transducer, but it is not an active device. It is a passive device because it is made up of passive smart materials. We have studied about this classification right from the module 1. So you should keep that in your mind. So a sensor can sense all these type of external stimuli which could be associated in the given environment. So relatedly, some examples are given. So you can go through this. Okay, for mechanical, so it could be either related to velocity, yeah, acceleration, any type of variation in the force, yeah, pressure, yeah, strain, yeah, stress, whatever. So when it comes to electrical stimuli, it is with respect to the voltage subjection, yeah, current, yeah, resistance for the flow of current, yeah, to measure the conductivity, anything associated with electrical. When it comes for thermal stimuli, it is mainly associated with the temperature parameters, right? So radiation. So you have types of radiation, right? So it could come either through the gamma, yeah, X-ray, yeah, any kind of visible light. So it depends upon the wavelength through which it is coming in. And magnetic stimuli, it again depends upon what is the strength of the magnetic field subjected, associated flux, conductivity, and its permeability value. Similarly, when it comes for chemical, you should identify what are the components you have in, what is the amount of concentration of this chemical composition, right? What are the pH levels and any toxic ingredients you have. So all these it will be able to sense. Suppose if you are using this sensor to measure the lead content in any given product. So lead is toxic again, right? So it helps to identify which is the toxic element in that particular device, what is the percentage of toxic level in it. Okay, so these are a few examples wherein you can use about the sensors. So with this, you know that it is a device which helps to sense the input parameters and provide the useful signal as required by the application. So it provides a signal with respect to the measuring parameter. So measuring parameter, it could be any external stimuli, what we discussed now. So, in natural, if you want to speak about, you have different types of sensors in our own body. So, eyes. So, eyes detects the light, right? It can identify the light, or it is darkness, or it is bright. And the ears are able to detect the sound. You have a certain range of decibel within which the human ear can bear. So, if it crosses 20 decibel, the human ear cannot listen to the sound. It is more than the listening capacity, right? Similarly, we have nose which can which can smell, right? And even when you eat, you can taste what is the taste you're feeling with the help of the tongue, right? Similarly, if we go with the help of our fingers and the palm, it can sense the amount of pressure or the temperature when you can feel anything, right? So these are the naturally available type of senses which are there in ours due to the blessing of God, right? So this type of and now what we were speaking before was about the mechanical type, was about the mankind senses, the human made senses. So with respect to this human made senses, you can associate this type of sensors, yeah, actuators, either for an automobile application or for any mechatronic system. So these two are the most commonly used field where you use the sensors and actuators very regularly. So if you go for a mechatronic system, if you use a sensor, yeah, actuators and a controller, so it helps to make the device more automatic, right? So to sense and to do the instruction as per the requirement. So this is just an example for mechatronic system overview where this is the actual basic system. So to make this automated, you need some amount of the mechatronics and the electronic parts. So it will be nothing but our actuators and a sensor. Along with that, you will be having a controller which controls and provides the required instructions so that the actuators will perform accordingly. Similarly, if you go for an automobile, you can have different type of sensors for different type of movement what you need when a car is being driven, right? So you can come across various type of sensors in a car. So nowadays all the advanced version of cars, right, whether Skoda, yeah, Mercedes, yeah, any the higher hand, yeah, Honda City, whatsoever, so you can have different type of sensors, so where it can sense and it is being automated. So few are like you have chassis level sensor, motor position sensors, like combo sensor related to the steering, which helps to sense the torque which is coming into picture, right? The position sensor, even in the steering, so you have a sensor to feel, right? So transmission sensor, mirror sensor, many type of sensors nowadays are already embedded in the automobiles. So these are the various things. So apart from that, these sensors and transducers are used in these sensors and actuators are used in transducer as well. So I told that a sensor is a transducer basically when I told you in the beginning, right? Because it converts the physical stimuli into the required external results. The same thing here. The sensors and actuators together could be used in any transducer because it helps to convert the energy from one form into the another, right? So if you focus on sensor, it converts any physical quantity, any physical stimuli into the required output electrical. So it could be a voltage or the electrical signal, what you get as an end result, right? Wherein the actuator is the reverse. You will take the electrical thing as an input and the output will be an physical quantity which could be measurable, right? So this is totally the reverse of the actuator. So these two together could be used in transducer to convert one form of energy into the other. So even in transducers you come across the user of sensor and actuator devices. So these are the things what you have to be aware enough when you speak about sensor and actuators. So these definitions, you are thorough enough. I don't want to repeat the same thing again and again. Okay. So basically, when it comes to sensors, purely on devices, you should be knowing few things associated too, right? So you have to think about how these sensors are being classified. So it is classified basically into two categories, because nowadays you can see n type of sensors in the market, right? So some could be like of analog, yeah, some could be of discrete type. So you should be able to identify whether you need an analog type of sensor, yeah, you need a discrete type of sensor, right? So that you should be very keen about. So if we go for analog type of sensors, the main examples what you can focus is related to either a thermocouple, yeah, strain gauge sensor, yeah, potentiometer sensors. So these are of all analog type of sensors, right? So similarly, if you go for discrete, right, so it is like digitalized, you can automatically on and off, so where it can sense only the binary codes 0 1 on and off, right? So this is one of the thing which is called as binary sensors, so wherein it focus only on and off, 0 and 1. So some examples for this are photoelectric switches. Somewhere in even in domestic applications, people use photoelectric switches. So these are a class of sensors which is into discrete type. Even the limit switches, wherein if you go for an medical application, so if you go for a digital sensor, it helps to count the pulse rate, right? So some of the examples for that are photoelectric array, your optical encoder. So these are the few differences to identify about the class of sensors. So it could be either due to analog, yeah, discrete. Okay, so this is about the classification of the sensors. Then you should know about few sensors which are commonly used as in devices, because your subject itself focus on devices. So you should be knowing about the devices and its classification, why it is used, where it is used, and its main applications. Okay, so one of the common sensor what we use of analog type is the accelerometer. So accelerometer is again an analog device. Why it is used? Usually we use an accelerometer to measure the vibrations and if any shocks which is coming into picture accidentally. For that purpose, we usually measure an accelerometer. So that you should be knowing. So next, one more device like it is sensors, right? Common sensors. Even the ammeter. Ammeter is usually used to measure the electrical current which is passing through any circuitry system, any electronic device, right? So where you pass the current. So it might show some resistivity to the flow, but still the amount of the current which has been passed through the given circuitry system, you can easily measure using ammeter. So this is the most common device which has been everywhere being used, either in electrical or electronic stream of engineering, right? Sometimes in some application related to mechanical as well. So this is one more device under sensors. And then comes bimetallic switch. I told you bimetallic switch here, right? So wherein you have to focus about how does this operate. So basically, if you think about the bimetallic switch, so you can see how a bimetallic strip looks like, right? So this will be a metal one and you'll be having metal two. Means the name itself suggests bimetallic. It has two layers, right? So it is like an biomorph cantilever. Okay, so it has two layers of metal. So this is a constraint in which it has been fixed at one end. So if you apply any kind of load, yeah, pressure, so you can see that the movement will be in this direction, to and fro, right? So this is how a bimetallic switch looks like. So this bimetallic switch is mainly made by using two bimetallic coils, right? So you will be having one end which has been constrained and you will be having an electrical connection which has been bounded here. So it will be an closed loop connection. So when you change the temperature or when you subject it to the variation in the temperature, so then the thermal expansion comes into picture. So this thermal expansion across the metal depends upon the thermal coefficient values of metal 1 and metal 2. So based on that, when you subject the temperature, when you subject a input, a stimuli with respect to the temperature variation, this thermal expansion comes into picture, right? So this thermal coefficient helps to bond these two layers together. It is not like you need an adhesive layer in between to see that these two are bounded. So with the help of temperature variation, the required bonding will be developed in between these two layers. Okay, so this is the way how a bimetallic switch respond. So this is one of the common type of sensor which is being used. And similarly, you have a bimetallic thermometer. So here, what happens in case of bimetallic thermometer is the analog temperature could be measured usually by using a bimetallic coil. So how this coil gets changed with the movement as shown in the indicator with response to the temperature. So you'll be having a material here which is able to sense the variation in the temperature. So once you have a variation in the temperature, so it indicates the temperature enhancement or reduction. So again, it is a sensor which sends to the external stimuli. So here the external stimuli will be nothing but the temperature. So when the temperature is increasing, so from the room temperature, it shows the enhancement in the temperature. So this is like a bimetallic thermometer, which is one of the common sensor which is being used to respond to the external stimuli related to the temperature. So this is one more type of devices. So you should be aware of many devices which are available and you should be able to explain. Okay, well. And again, one more is the dynamometer. So you have heard the word dynamometer. It is again an analog type of sensor. So why we use a dynamometer? Basically, we use to measure either the force, the power, or the torque, right? So this is why we use an dynamometer. So it helps to sense the input stimuli and measure. So input stimuli will be some physical quantity, right? So it helps to sense the input and figure out to measure the output values either in the form of force, your power, your torque as per the requirement. Apart from that, it could also be used as a float transducer. Float transducer means you will be having a transducer which is attached to a lever arm so that you can get the relative moment and measure which is the required quantity, right? So like if you have an lever arm and if you connect a transducer to it, so it can help to see the measurement of any fluid which is there in a vessel. Suppose you have a vessel and you need to know the measurement of the quantity of the liquid in it. So if you have a lever arm and if you just put an transducer connected to it, so it can sense the amount of liquid content in that current vessel. So this is how it can sense and tell you the data associated to either in acoustic applications or in day-to-day or in measurement of force, torque, yeah, pressure, yeah, whatsoever it is. And also you have the other class of sensors like fluid flow sensor and fluid flow switch. So this basically again comes to measure related to the fluid. So it has a huge application in the acoustic applications. Right. So if you go with fluid flow sensor, it is again an analog class of sensor which helps in measuring the rate of flow of a liquid. So this is usually a good blessing related to the fluid mechanics wherein it can analyze you easily without any mathematical equations and calculations to tell what is the flow rate of the liquid in this particular media. So it is a very good sense of application for acoustic, right? So this is called to be as fluid flow sensor. And one more you have like fluid flow switch. Okay, so this is a binary switch which responds to 0 and 1 code. So this is mainly used to enhance, yeah, to reduce the fluid pressure. Sometimes when you go for a fluid analysis, if you go back to your fluid mechanics also, you can study the analysis of the fluid when it is at static and when it is in movement. So you might need sometimes a constant pressure, sometimes you need to enhance the amount of pressure with respect to the fluid what it is moving on. So you should be having something which can automatically increase the pressure or to reduce off when it is not needed, right? So if you need that kind of requirement in any specific application, you can go with fluid flow switch. So wherein it helps in enhancing the pressure of the fluid. So this is totally related to the acoustic applications or even you can use related to the analysis of any kind of fluid in your concept of fluid mechanics, right? So these are, I think, the about of the sensors and its devices, but still we have few more. Hello, any doubts? Are you people understanding? Is it clear? Should I explain a little bit slower? Are you people there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear enough why it is being needed as to be used as in devices, either the sensors or actuators, right? So you should all think about the concept, everything what you have studied until now, and then you have to put forward into a product kind of thing. And hence this module speaks about only the devices. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you have heard about LVDT. It is not a new subject to you, right? You have also used this in your measurement and metrology also to measure some unknown parameters, right? So which is also called as linear variable differential transformer. So even in LVDT, you will be having like an analog type of sensors. Why you will be usually having the primary coils and the secondary coils, right? So this analog position of the sensor in LVDT consists of the primary coil. So this red one is nothing but our primary coil. Okay, so both the yellow colored coils which are there are nothing but the secondary coils, right? So this type of LVDT with a sensor type which can sense will consist of the primary coil which is in red in color. So here in the schematic sketch you can see this is the primary coil and these two are the secondary coils. So how they are separated? They are separated with the help of a magnetic core. So this magnetic core is nothing but the ferrite. So ferrite is also a magnetic material, right? So here instead of writing as ferrite core, you can also tell as a magnetic core. Both are one and the same. So when you energize the primary coil, what happens is due to this energization of the primary coil with the help of magnetic core, it induces voltage across the secondary coil, right? And hence it can sense the magnetic energization in the primary coil and induce the required output. So yeah, the output will be nothing but the voltage. Only one thing you have to keep in mind, the voltage what you get as an output will be at secondary coil and primary coil will just act as an taking the input data, right? So input data here will be nothing but the energization what you are receiving from the primary core. So energization you will receive due to the presence of the magnetic core. So with the use of the magnetic core, it is inducing the output voltage. So this is how an LVDT function. Because here the sensor plays a vital role. It should sense the magnetized uh, this one field and it has to convert that into the voltage. So this is an LVDT. How does it work about? I told you about the limit switch which can control, yeah, enhance the pressure of the fluid which has been moving, right? So similarly here if you focus on a limit switch here, this is how it looks like. Okay, so even it responds to binary code only 0 and 1 in which you will be having a lever arm or a push button. So if you just make the push button close and open, it helps in increasing or reducing the pressure and it yields the required contact as per the circuitry system in which you are using. Okay, so this is how a limit switch device looks like. Another type of sensors, even in your day-to-day activity, you use a mouse with a computer, right? So you will click and that will be connected and accordingly you can move the slides, your sheet of Word, your PPT, your Excel sheet, right? So how? It also have a type of common sensors, right? So that you have to understand. So here, if we call a manometer, again it is an analog device. So this manometer is used to measure the pressure which is there either in a gas or an liquid. So you can get the pressure associated with the gas or liquid. So that is measured by manometer. Similarly, you have a ohm meter. So ohm meter is also an analog device. So ohm is again associated with the electrical concepts. So directly it helps in measuring the resistance to the electrical current which is passing through. So this is the ohm meter, which is one more common sensor which has been used. And lastly, optical encoder. So this optical encoder is a digital device. right? So why this is used? This digital device is used to measure a particular position or the speed with which it has been moving, right? So here it basically consists of a slotted disk. So this disk will separate a light source from the photocell. So you will be having a photocell and a light source. So the light source will make the light to pass through and it gets reflected. So this will be able to sense the photocell, and based on that it can identify the position or the speed. You use a mouse, right? You use a mouse to locate the position, and you also use a mouse to move with respect to the speed how you want to. If you just scroll the wheel which is there upon the mouse, so it helps to move your sheet of paper up and down, right? So it helps to vary the speed and also to locate the position of a particular sheet or a slide. So that is usually due to the optical encoder. So this encoding happens when when a light rays fall on the disk, and that is reflected back to the photocell. So it will capture the position where it has to locate exactly. So if you want to move that particular location, if you have a scroller in the mouse, if you scroll, it moves up and down. So this is how an optical encoder works. So these are also the class of sensors what you have to understand. Similarly, there are many. You can just go through it. The main thing I'm telling you, the piezoelectric transducer again. You know what is a piezoelectric? We have studied about the transducer. So if a transducer is made up of a piezoelectric material, you claim that to be as a piezoelectric transducer. Even this transducer is an analog device, right? So it mainly works on the concept of piezoelectric effect. Like what is a piezoelectric charge coefficient, right? Whether it is a direct piezo effect or a converse piezo effect, so that you will be knowing, right? So if it is subjected to any physical stimuli, whether the material gets deformed or not. If it is not deformed, can that transducer be used to measure any form of energy? Because a transducer can convert energy from one form into the other. So it could be either a force measurement, yeah, pressure measurement, or a speed or an acceleration with which a device is moving, right? So even potentiometer is one of the application for the sensor. It is also an analog type of sensor. So you also know how a potentiometer works, right? So basically this potentiometer consists of a resistor and a contact slider. So this will help you to determine what is the resistance being offered with respect to the input stimuli you are getting. So that is the main application of potentiometer. So similarly, you have different type of sensors. So you strain gauge sensors you have, which again helps to measure force, torque, yeah, pressure. You have a tachometer, right? So it is also analog device. It consists of a generator, mainly a DC type of it. So this tachometer helps to produce the required electrical voltage. Okay, so the voltage which will be generated will be directly proportional to the speed with which the generator has been rotating, because you will use here a DC generator which will get the required input stimuli and converts that into the voltage. So electrical voltage, what is the amount of electrical voltage you need, mainly depends upon the speed with which the generator is moving. Okay, so this is the application why you use a tachometer. So if you use a tachometer, you can increase the speed or you can reduce the speed. You can measure the speed with which the DC generator has been moving, right? So with the help of this, if you connect that to an device where you want to develop electrical voltage, it helps to provide the voltage. So this voltage mainly depends upon the speed with which the generator is moving, and the speed could be controlled by the tachometer. Similarly, you have tactile sensors. So these devices can measure the physical phenomena which comes into picture between the two objects. So there are various kind of sensor devices which are there available in the market already. Okay, you can go through it. So mainly I just wanted to focus on the input and output relations of a sensor. So we are speaking about many internal stimuli. So based on the internal stimuli, it sends and it converts into an output. So which could be sensed, which could be read, or which could be recorded, or which could be transferred to the other device where the output can be used. So but how will it work? You should be having some mathematical equation to it, right? So here all the input and output relations of any sensor is always referred by one simple mathematical equation, which is capital S is equal to f of s. Okay, so what is capital S? Capital S always tells you about the output signal, what you are receiving based on the input stimuli. So input stimuli could be mechanical, yeah, electrical, yeah, temperature, any other parameter, physical parameters. So based on the input signal, you get the output signal, right? So that output signal is referred to be as capital S. And the small s refers to the stimuli, any stimuli. I have explained all the type of stimuli, so it could be of any stimuli. So f of s is nothing but the functional relationship, what we usually refer. So it is like a functional relationship with respect to the internal stimuli. But you remember many of the sensors are binary and they refer only with respect to 0 and 1. So if you are focusing on the binary sensors, the output signal what you get will be equal to 1 for all the input stimuli which will be greater than 0. Okay, so always you should see that the input stimuli will be okay. So if you have the input stimuli greater than 0, you will be having the output signal exactly equal to 1. Means you will get a good amount of output signal as required. Suppose the input stimuli, what you are providing is less than equal to 0. Means it is like a negative parameter. Means the amount of input stimuli what you are giving is not of an high magnified value. It will be obviously a negative value, right? It is not an huge. Suppose a mechanical input what you're providing is very less, the pressure what you're providing as an input signal is very less, right? So then the output what you get also will be comparatively lesser, which can be very much negligible or equal to 0. So that is the phenomena which happens when the input stimuli given is very less. So if it is very less with respect to our binary code, it is less than or equal to 0. In that case, the output signal what you get with respect to binary code will be negligible. If I want to tell in a normal sentence, if it is with respect to binary code, it will be equal to 0. Wherein if you provide an actual input stimuli data as required, so then you can claim that the input stimuli is greater than 0. In that case, the output signal what you get will be maximum or as per the requirement. In that case, you show that with respect to binary code 1. So this you should remember very clearly. Any doubts related to the equation of input output relation of sensors? Is it
No, ma'am.
okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when you understand this, you can come across one more equation for any measuring device of sensors. So here we call this as S is equal to C plus MS, right? So S is nothing but the output signal, you know. So what about C? So C is nothing but the output value, right? So output value, what you get, it is nothing but the stimulus value. Okay, so what you get. So this is the output value at a stimulus value of 0, it has been claimed, where m will be the constant of proportionality. So this constant of proportionality tells you how sensitive your sensor is. So some sensors might be very good at sensitive. It can sense the entire physical stimuli which has been subjected to it 100%. Then you tell that the sensitivity of this device is excellent, very high. Suppose the sensitivity of the sensor is not up to the mark, if it is fair enough, so then you can claim that the sensitivity is not too high. So that sensitivity mainly depends upon the constant of proportionality. Okay, so that you should be aware enough. So I'll just show you an example here for you to understand. Suppose you have an output voltage of an we are speaking about a thermocouple sensor. So when you speak about a thermocouple sensor, it mainly senses the variation in the temperature coefficient, the thermocouple aspect of it, the temperature parameters. Suppose if the output voltage of a thermocouple sensor is referred to be as 42.3 millivolt. So this is the output voltage, what you are getting by using the thermocouple sensor. So this output voltage is measured at a temperature of 105 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that you have to understand. But previously it was considered to emit no voltage, means zero voltage when it was in 0 degrees Celsius, obviously. So thermocouple mainly helps to sense the variation in the temperature. So as the temperature increases, so it is able to register an output voltage of 42.3 millivolts, but wherein the same thermocouple sensor which was there not even in room temperature at 0 degrees Celsius, ultimately the output what it showed was 0. So now how you determine the transfer function of a thermocouple, right? And the temperature corresponding to a voltage output of 15.8 millivolt. So what you have to understand, how the transfer function is happening in the thermocouple when it was at high temperature and it was in 0 degrees Celsius. Second thing, at 105 degrees Celsius, the voltage was 42.3 millivolt. So now you should identify what is the temperature where the thermocouple has to be kept to measure an output voltage of 15.8 millivolt, right? For that you should use the equation what I told you already, S is equal to C plus MS, right? So here the S is nothing but the output voltage. So the output voltage in the question they have given you as 42.3 millivolt. So you write the output voltage as 42.3 millivolt, right? And this value, I told what is C? C is the output value at the stimulus, which is considered to be an zero value. So wherever you come across C, so you will put the output value as to be 0. So here you will put this as 0 plus. I told you what do you mean by M? M is nothing but the constant of proportionality, right? So if you come back to the equation here, kindly put it as M, because first you have to check what is the constant of proportionality. Then only you can claim what is the sensitivity of that device, right? So we'll put M, which is unknown, what you have to determine. So what is the input stimuli in the question? The input stimuli is nothing but the temperature at an 105 degree Celsius. So you put the value of S as 105 degree Celsius. So from this equation, you will calculate what is M, right? So M is equal to 0.4 point something you get. Just focus on one digit after the decimal. So sensitivity of that device is 0.4. So now if you go back to the equation, you can write now S is equal to 0.4 into S. Why we are not writing the value of S here? Because you need to check for the next condition. What is the temperature which corresponds for an voltage output of 15.8 millivolt. So voltage output is nothing but our external stimuli, which is the output data. So that you will be writing in the place of S. 15.8 millivolts. So this M value remains the same. So we'll write M as 0.4. You need to know what is the input stimuli, right? So small s is unknown. So you will write it as S. So then you simplify and find out what is the value of input stimuli. So then you will get to know as for 15.8 divided by 0.4, you will come to know what is the value, which is 13.22 degrees Celsius. So for an input temperature of 13.22 degrees Celsius, 15.8 millivolt was the output voltage. But wherein in the given question at temperature of 105 degrees Celsius, the output voltage what they got was 42.3 millivolt. So now you showed how the function gets transferred in the thermocouple. The function gets transferred in the thermocouple mainly because of its sensitivity. So you should determine the sensitivity value of it. And secondly, they have just asked, right, when the input temperature was 105, the output voltage was 42.3 millivolt. So what is the temperature, the input temperature to get an output voltage of 15.8 MV? So once you know the sensitivity value, you can substitute in this equation and find out the unknown. Right, so this is about the sensor and its devices. So any doubts associated with this until now?
No, ma'am.
So in the next class, we are supposed to start up with the actuators as a device. So we are in the fourth hour, I will just be speaking about the actuators in the form of a device, right? Basically, you know that actuator is an hardware device, right, which can control any given input to the required physical parameter, right? So usually in an actuator, it helps to perform any work with respect to the decision given by the controller. So this work can be either due to the change in position or in the velocity or whatsoever we will deal in the fourth hour. So currently, I will just stop at this time. So everyone kindly do type your name and USN in the chat room. So I want to ask few questions. So what did you understand from today's class, Mohan Ambar? Can you just speak about?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We studied about devices, about sensors, transducers,
Hmm.
devices are there, and types of sensors.
Okay. What did you learn from it basically?
How each of the device works within
Hmm.
that device.
Okay. So mainly you should learn how it could be put into a device. So the any theory or concept what you learn, how you synthesize a material for any kind of application, you should be knowing how to make a device. So you should know which are the available devices already in the market related to sensors and actuators. How you can do the modification so that you can think about when you know a huge information about the class of smart materials. So you can check which are the smart materials which are used to make the sensors. What are its end result? Any drawback it has? If it is so, if you go with any type of other smart materials, how you can provide an improvement? So then you can provide a novel sensor, yeah, actuator into the market, get a patent on it. So many things could be done. Only thing you should be thorough enough with respect to the concepts what you are studying.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Danush, answer your attendance. Are you there, Mr. Danush?
Yes, ma'am.
Mithun,
Yes, ma'am.
Mohan Ambal,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Sandesh, Sandesh is
Yes,
there?
ma'am.
Yeah. Srinidhi,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Sukrut,
Yes, ma'am.
Sukrut, are you there? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. And Sri Arsha.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So everyone take care. Have a nice day. So before that, so let me just ask some questions. Mohan Ambal is done. Danush, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you have studied many modules related to smart materials and structures. So when I tell smart materials and structures, what idea or concept comes into your mind which you can throw that into a device? Any idea what you have thought about, or the subject is boring, you just want to read for the sake of scoring?
Ma'am, we can simplify the device more into more convenient way using smart materials and structures, ma'am.
Hmm.
Then the advantages is more when we use when we incorporate smart materials, ma'am, like the accuracy of the instrument, and we can get to know more values rather than conventional way of measuring devices, ma'am.
Okay. What you want to do when you hear the name smart materials?
Uh, uh, to simplify the system, ma'am. and to make it more advanced and so that it will be very convenient to use for us, ma'am.
Okay. Sandesh, you're there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you have studied the smart materials with actual devices, and even in micro level we have learned into. So which will be more better, either to go with MEM device, yeah, actual smart structures related to different materials?
MEMS device.
Why
Because
so?
it's easier
Why?
to,
Huh?
it's not complicated as smart materials.
It's not complicated, my dear. You have a complex design in your IC chip, which is a 3D complex device design. What you have to figure out for MEMS. How you can tell that it is not
And
having any complication?
study about the material property,
Mm.
and those things and all.
Do you feel like in all application you can go with MEMS?
No,
Yeah, so you have to think about where you want to go with MEMS device. In that, you will go with those type of micro level devices. And in regular, where you need in actual, you have to go for actual scale smart structures. Okay. Yeah, Srinidhi, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah. So if I ask you to speak in 1 minute about smart structure, which is the topic you like the most?
Mm, about smart actuators, ma'am.
Okay. What made you to tell us actuators?
Like it has like a feedback system, ma'am, for
Hmm.
embedded things.
Okay, good. At least you told me one.
Analytical
And
and experimental procedures were connected.
yes, yes. So any type of smart structures will be really helpful for the human mankind. You should see that how you do customize as per the requirement. And Harsha,
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
yeah, yeah. How you feel about this subject? We are at the last module.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Are you understanding? Are the things clear? You're feeling
Yes,
complexion.
yes, yes, ma'am. Awesome.
Okay. Any doubts? Please kindly let me know. Okay. If you keep it for yourself,
Okay.
I won't be able to know whether you have understood or not. Fine.
Yeah, okay. Okay, ma'am.
Yes, so everyone take care. Have a good day. So we'll meet back on the fourth hour. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.